and my project is Syllabus on Rails. Okay, basically what happened was last semester I had a professor that I did research with, Jason, and we did this project called Syllabus on Rails. He's been doing it for a while. It's kind of a tool he's been using to help people learn programming, and it was kind of a research project he's doing to let people share and upload syllabus and things like that. But it kind of ran into a few problems. He's been working on it for a year and a half, and really this is kind of my way of trying to solve those problems and help him out, because I think I can help with using more updated web technologies to help him fix some of the problems he's having. Okay, so some of the problems we were having. One, it was that's a difficult problem, but yeah, one of the problems was it was difficult to set up. On Windows, using PHP, we were using XAMPP and PHP to link up to the server and upload everything, get everything running, but a lot of people had problems getting that up and running and getting that to work. So I wanted to figure out a way, one, to make it less difficult to set up, one, less difficult to manage, and things like that. And another thing was very back-end heavy. It used a lot of PHP interaction where it didn't need to, so there was a bunch of PHP code from the server end where I'm trying to get it to boil down to more of 4 pages of code instead of probably I think like 20 or 30 and a couple of thousand lines of code that a lot of students have been working on for a long time. So I'm trying to boil that down into something more simple for them. And another thing, it was very unorganized. One thing with PHP, you can make it into MVC format, to make it easier to organize. But what tended to happen is that people started learning PHP when they came into the project, so they kind of started putting it in MVC format, and then they kind of went like, where do I put this? And they kind of put it in whatever folder they needed to. And it kind of broke it because PHP was so flexible. They kind of made it less organized, and it kind of made it, it kind of hurt it more than helped. Okay, so Syllabus on Rails. So these are my solutions for these problems. One thing I wanted to try was to use cloud computing, and we'll get onto it later, but use cloud computing to manage the server side of it. So one thing I wanted to do is try to make it free, so I can use Heroku or Amazon AWS, or really any cloud computing service to run the program, and so that it wouldn't be as intensive for a newer student that might come after me to get it, pick it up, and have it running really quickly. Another thing, use HTML5 for the front end, and we'll get into the back end later, but have it so it use HTML5, because really all you need is a REST API and a server backend technology to run the authorization. And after that, really everything can be done in a single page HTML5 web app, rather than having it go and do multiple service calls and have multiple pages. And really it's just to make it really simple. And kind of my idea was to make the majority of the app in one page, where it just goes and gets different calls from the server. And the last solution was to use Ruby. That kind of helps with the simplification process, because Ruby I found was easier to set up in PHP. It was less service intensive when you try to run your code through the Rails server, and using on Windows there's something Rails installer that really takes one click and it installs from a website and everything's set up for you. Okay, and one other thing, I wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to make sure to focus on 3 things, and after that we go into other things. But really it's going to be kind of an open source Scribe, if you ever use that website, kind of clone in the initial part of it, but then you needed to secure your email address with a .edu address, kind of like Facebook does when you try to sign up for school. So then you know that person is either a professor or he's in college or the university. So yeah, I wanted to focus on uploading, sharing, and then giving them the ability to edit and share their content with each other. So my website stack, or my web stack. So these are the 3 things I'm going to be using for the programming. One would be Backbone.js, which, if you don't know, is HTML front-end MVC framework. So it really works well with Ruby, and really was built for Ruby, and it's kind of easy to just give it the code and give it data and let it organize it and place it wherever it needs to using any REST API can pretty much do whatever it needs to do. Using Ruby on Rails, it's very structured and it's very tied into MVC, so you can't really, it keeps itself structured because it only works structured, so you can't just put anything anywhere. It'll just stop you and tell you it won't work. And then go to PostgreSQL. It lets you use SQL calls, but if you need to, it lets you use what is it called? Models and ORM. So instead of having, let's say, a SQL call where you say insert, this and make a row, it lets you define it as an object. So it would be create a person and then give the person a name and then put it into the SQL database. It's easy to get it interconnected, like create a connection between one database as a one-to-many and a many-to-many type of connection. Turn out small. Okay, for the authentication, I've already set it up. This is my progress so far to use Devise, which is if you use any Ruby on Rails website, like Twitter is no longer like this, but it used to be Twitch TV or something like that. They all pretty much use Devise, and it's a very easy to use framework that lets you do signups through Facebook, Google+, but it also lets you sign up as a normal user. And for authentication, I'm using Can or Rollify, so it keeps users from just going to any page without being authenticated first by Devise. So once you get to the web app, you pretty much do whatever you want. And the upload form is done in Paperclip, which is a typical form that Rails use. And basically, right now you can sign up and upload items. So my plan for the next few weeks. Okay, getting a little RESTful. That's just to set up the RESTful framework and to get the back end. Really, it's going to boil down to 4 calls: a get, a post, a put, and a delete. And really, after that, I'm pretty much going to be done with Rails. I wouldn't have to touch it again, and everything being done in HTML5. Getting Backbone. So I haven't set up Backbone.js in the system yet, but that's going to be the main part of the web app. And exploring Amazon S3 service. So that will be my chance to explore that, and that's where all the files are going to be stored as ORM objects or action objects. And so that's my presentation. Thank you.
Things cost some money, right? You have to pay some money for that. So it is comes over.
They start off free, and you can scale for servers. It's just like any other web server. But the thing is, Jason's already paying for web servers, and I don't think he's going to use it for mass production. He kind of just wants the prototype, and that should be fine for what I have.
So is there like 2 different types of people using it? Because you're saying it's like a tool to teach programming, but then also people are actually uploading syllabi to it. something?
Yeah, that's kind of the two things Jason wanted to do with the project. He wanted to teach programmers. It's kind of a tool to help programmers learn the program, and that's what he's basically been doing for the last years. Every semester, he's getting students to come on and help program. And then for the syllabus thing, the object of the web app is to manage and give people a chance to share syllabus or teachers or professors. Any other questions?
Can you talk about ways of letting professors get feedback from their students or suggestions what to put in syllabus?
Commenting system. It should be pretty easy if I needed to do that, because all I need to do is make another table with comments and add that on. I haven't thought about it.
Or introduce the collective boundaries.
Yeah,
So that is what it was.
Oh,
Collective topics.
Is it a HTML framework? I mean, HTML5 framework, or is it a full web?
We're
Stack?
using Google Web Toolkit. We're not using HTML5.
Okay. I mean, if you would help me out, I'd appreciate it, and kind of would make it cooler if it did have something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Okay, next week, thanks. Next